Choosing a kind of clothing matters a lot these days. Fashion effect in the country is a basically important topic to the understanding of consumer behavior and the decision making. Good morning everyone, my name is Berwyn Dolot and today we're going to present to you our market research entitled Factors Influencing Sorsogon State College Student in the Choice Between Ukay-Ukay and Branded Clothing. But before we start our presentation, allow me to introduce to you my co-researcher. First, Ms. Mary Rose Agacite, Ms. Catherine Dolendo, Ms. Lyra Dulpina, Ms. Lyra Dungaran, Ms. Cyrene Ego, and Ms. Jonalyn Mojica. The background of the problem. The purpose of the study is to explore the underlying factors that influence the buying choices of Sorsogon State College students between Ukay-Ukay and branded clothing. The researchers will distinguish the differences between Ukay-Ukay and branded clothing according to the student perception. By conducting this research, the researcher will determine what factors they consider in choosing clothes to wear, where they often to buy, and find clothes where they are more comfortable.
Statement of the problem. So, our study wants to determine the factors that influence the SSC students in choosing between Ukay-Ukay and branded clothing. Specifically, it seeks to answer the following questions. Number 1. What is the profile of the respondents in terms of age, gender, social status, course, and year? Number 2. We will determine the preferences of the students in choosing or buying a product. Where do they buy their product? Number 3. What are the factors that influence the SSC students in buying clothing? Number 4. What could you propose to students in buying clothing?
Intended outcome. This study will conclude the following outcomes. First, determine the students' preferences in choosing a product. Second, factors they consider in choosing a product and where they often buy between Ukay-Ukay and branded clothes. Last, provide SSS students a better understanding in purchasing a product.
The limitations in KPADs. The researchers have to gather information from the target respondents in the study. The gathering of information is through survey. The target respondents will be 50 students of Sorsogon State College, and researchers will not cover students from other school campuses. The study primarily focuses on the factors influencing SSC students in choosing Ukay-Ukay and branded clothes as sustainable fashion and will not take into account the other existing problems as well as the factors that are related to the respondents are excluded.
The ethical consideration. The ethical issues in this research paper are substantial. The respondents will be fully aware of the extent of the participation in the research required of them before they agree to participate, and their individual identity will remain anonymous. The ethical consideration that the researcher will be addresses in conducting this research are the following: the informed consent, confidentiality, do no harm, and only assess relevant components. And now the research design. The study will be using descriptive research design, which will be determine the extent to which different variables are related to each other in the population of interest. Researcher will be using primary and secondary data as a process of getting raw information, which can be the answer of the research. According to Facts and by 2007, descriptive research is used to describe various aspects of the phenomenon, characteristic, and behavior of a sample population. Up next, the information needs to be presented by
Information needs. The study aims to find solutions on how factors influence the SSC students in choosing between Ukay-Ukay and branded clothing through collecting information that can help addressing the problem. The source of information will come from the target respondents of the study, which is the SSC students. By means of answering the distributed survey questionnaire, the researchers will be able to find out the insights of the participants and behavior. Also, the profile of the respondents, which includes the age, gender, social status, and the year and section. It can be used as a reference in conducting a market research.
from secondary sources. The affiliated literature and studies, as a data collection of secondary sources, exhibits the various concepts and generalizations inclined to the study of the factors influencing SSC students of Sorsogon City in purchasing clothing between Ukay-Ukay and branded clothing lines. As for the data collection from secondary sources, the researchers covered literature and studies to provide informations and reliable data that will certainly help the researchers from the proposed study.
The data collection for primary resources. The researchers will be using survey questionnaires to gather data from the respondents. Since we are in a pandemic and there is no face-to-face classes, the survey questionnaires will be sent to 50 respondents using the internet to send and receive the questionnaires. We have chosen this method because it serves as a meaningful and holds a productive data since it entails the involvement of the respondents.
Scaling technique. In this research study, the researchers use rank order under comparative scale where respondents asked to rank the following factors based on participants' preference. Likert scale that will measure the behavior by asking respondents about their level of agreement and disagreement towards price, quality, availability, and others. Additionally, checklist that is relevant to respondents' knowledge in clothing.
The population in this study are the students of Sorsogon State College. We will be selecting 50 samples that will represent the entire population. The sampling technique that we will be using is the simple random sampling. In this sampling technique, every member of the population has a chance of being selected in the sample. The selection of the sample will depend on probability and chance. That's why this technique is also known as method of chances. We choose this sampling technique to avoid any bias involved.
Questionnaire development and pre-testing. We will use questionnaire to obtain information from the participants. The questionnaire is based on the statement of the problem that we made. It contains the profile, preferences, and the factors that influence us in buying clothing of the SSC students. Before we hand it to the other respondents, we will first conduct a pre-test to 10 students to see its validity.
Conducting this quantitative research, we will be using survey method. This method involves using of questionnaires to collect data from the respondents. The researchers will prepare a questionnaire and distribute it to the respondents through messenger or email.
Plan of data analysis. The researchers will analyze and interpret the collected data. The gathered data will be tallied and presented in tables. Since our study will be using random sampling, we will use Slovin's formula to calculate an appropriate sample size from a population.
This statistical treatment will be used to indicate the level of agreement or disagreement of the respondents in choosing Ukay-Ukay and branded cloths. To show the interpretations of results, the researchers use scale wherein 5 is the strongly agree, 4 agree, 3 neither, 2 disagree, and 1 strongly agree.
Frequency percentage. This statistical tool will be used to show the result of two categories, namely Ukay-Ukay and branded clothing. The result will be obtained by dividing the two categories' total number of respondents and multiply it by 100 to get the percentage.
That's it for today. Thank you, and may the good Lord reward us always.